UK Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab is holding a press conference along with India's External Affairs Minister Jaishankar, and we are cutting across live.
The Indian and the UK media. May I now invite Honourable Minister of External Affairs, Dr. S. Jaishankar, to make his remarks to the media. Yes.
Good afternoon. Let me say that it's a great pleasure to meet all of you at the conclusion of my talks today with the British Foreign Secretary Dominic Raab. He is in fact the first Foreign Minister who has visited us on a bilateral visit since the onset of the pandemic. And I take his presence here today not only as a good augury for our relationship, but also for an early return to life as we used to know it. Now, we've had this morning about 4 hours of discussion on a very wide range of issues. The focus has been on how to take our ties to a higher level. In recent years, as you all know, there have been very big changes in global politics, and we both believe that our interests are better served by working together more effectively. That will not only be building on our historical ties, but also expressing our shared commitment to a multipolar world. As democratic polities, market economies, and pluralistic societies, we can, we should, and we will make a difference to the realization of a rules-based global order. A lot of our time today was spent on how to give policy directions to broaden our cooperation and encourage more activities and collaborations. We focused on 5 broad themes, which was connecting people, trade and prosperity, defense and security, climate, and health. Apart from senior officials of the Foreign Ministry, including the Foreign Secretary who joined us today, I was also accompanied by the Principal Scientific Advisor, who, as many of you would know, coordinates our vaccine response. That was something which was discussed in some detail. Foreign Secretary Raab will also be meeting my colleagues, Environment Minister Prakash Javadekar and Education Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal during his trip. During the course of the year, the Foreign Secretary and I have been telephonically discussing both our COVID challenges and their economic implications. Today's meeting gave us an opportunity to exchange notes and update ourselves on those issues. It is important that India and UK strengthen their collaboration to hasten their post-COVID economic recovery. This has many facets, including promoting greater trade and investment, fostering innovation, and facilitating the flow of talent. I'm truly glad that the Foreign Secretary will be interacting with Indian industry during his visit. As foreign ministers, we naturally reviewed the state of the world, the situation in Afghanistan, the evolution of the Indo-Pacific, and developments in the Middle East were among the subjects that came up. The challenges posed by terrorism and radicalism were a shared concern. As India enters the UN Security Council next month, we look forward to working together with the UK on a range of global issues. Overall, I think it would be fair to say we had very productive discussions as our partnership becomes more ambitious and consequential. We are the 2 ministers who will carry the responsibility of delivering on the vision of our leadership. So I look forward to working with the Foreign Secretary very closely in the coming days, which will be particularly important. He will tell you why, as indeed in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now may I call upon the UK Foreign Secretary, Right Honourable Dominic Raab, to make his remarks.
Good afternoon. Thank you all for joining us. And thank you, Minister Jaishankar, for your very warm welcome here in Delhi. Can I just start by saying what huge admiration I have for this country. You're the world's largest democracy, the country with one of the highest number of scientists and engineers, a leader in tech, a leader in solar and wind energy, and a huge presence on the global stage. So it's a great pleasure to be here with Dr. Jaishankar and to discuss our shared plans for an even closer future relationship. We agreed on key elements of a 10-year UK-India roadmap so that we can deliver a step change in ambition for the relationship between our two countries. We look forward to taking this forward in 2021, including through the UK's presidency of the G7 and also our presidency of the UN Climate Change Conference, and as we see and welcome India return to the UN Security Council. And it's very much with that in mind that I'm pleased that Prime Minister Johnson has invited Prime Minister Modi to join the UK-hosted G7 summit next year. And Prime Minister Johnson has also gratefully accepted the very generous invitation to attend India's Republic Day celebrations in January, which is a great honour. I think, as we discussed today, we share the belief that we can do even more together on our shared priorities in the months and years ahead. And for the UK, we see those priorities along the following lines. First of all, we want to deepen our economic partnership. We already have a strong and growing trade relationship. In the year before the pandemic hit, the bilateral trade between India and the UK grew at a vibrant 11%. Our investment relations support over 500,000 jobs in each other's economies, including many UK jobs in tech and telecoms. Now what we want to do is take that to another level, working towards agreeing an enhanced trade partnership next year, which itself will be, we hope, a stepping stone towards a future free trade agreement. And I think that can unlock huge opportunities for British and Indian businesses, lowering barriers in areas like food and drink, healthcare and life sciences, IT, data, chemicals and financial services. So I think some exciting possibilities ahead. Second, we're committed to building a stronger defence and security partnership with our Indian friends. That will help us tackle shared issues of concern, whether it's terrorism, maritime security, including things like piracy in the Western Indian Ocean. It will also help us to respond to the new challenges, the emerging challenges, like space and cybersecurity. And we want to work together to ensure our telecoms networks, our 5G networks, are more secure and resilient. Third, there's climate change. Prime Minister Modi has been very clear this is a real priority for India. We recognise India's global leadership in this area through the International Solar Alliance and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. And as hosts of the UN Climate Change Conference in Glasgow next year, we will also be playing a leading role ourselves. We want to see an ambitious outcome that really helps to shift the dial on climate change. India's made real strides on renewable energy. We want to keep building on our partnership internationally in this area. And finally, I should also mention we want to deepen our partnerships in education, research and innovation. Our countries are both leaders in this field. It's an area of complementarity but also comparative advantage, and I think there's a huge scope for further collaboration together in a collaborative international setting.
Up there. So the first point of my answer would be for us, it is that there is today a growing recognition and acceptance of the idea of Indo-Pacific. That, you know, we've seen this today with the UK, with Netherlands, with Germany, with France, with EU, with the ASEAN, other than Japan and Australia and the United States. And I dare say there'd be more. The Indo-Pacific is a reality because at the end of the day, what is it about? It's a articulation of globalization, the fact that you can't deal with different theaters in a sort of watertight way, and that the kind of challenges that today the world faces, the global issues, you know, whether it's climate change, whether it's maritime security, whether it's terrorism, even the opportunity to increase connectivity, all these require a larger arena, more coordinated efforts. And I say we definitely welcome a greater interest and attention which the UK is devoting to the Indo-Pacific, and we certainly look forward to working with you in different manifestations. I mean, there will be the political and security aspects of it, but as I said, there are many other aspects, and I would particularly commend your attention to an initiative we have tabled in the East Asia Summit called the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, because you will see a lot of elements of climate change and marine ecology where I certainly believe that it would be profitable for us to work together.
Well, I was reading Dr. Jaishankar's book on the way over, on the flight over, and I thought there were remarkable areas of common overlap and common interest, not just on the issues and the way we're looking at the way of viewing the world and the way of approaching the world. And I think that's partly a recognition of the enormous economic potential, not just of India, but the Indo-Pacific region, not just over, say, a 2-year period, but a 20, 30-year period. And I think you're seeing the rest of the world, certainly the United Kingdom, focus and reflect that. I think it's also a recognition of the benefits of greater cooperation because of all of the issues, some of them opportunities, some of them risks and challenges that come to the salience of this region as a whole. We've got shared interests and shared values. I thought Minister Jaishankar put it well. We will operate with in different ways and collaborate and cooperate in different ways depending on what the issues are. But a certain extra element of agility, I think, is probably called for in the with the various different issues and the way the world is changing. But certainly, if you look at shared interests and shared values, and you put it all together from maritime security, vulnerability of supply chains, the opportunities to really shift the dial on climate change, we see this as a top priority, and not just the relationship with India, but you're going to see, and we'll articulate our integrated review, which is the strategic review the United Kingdom has done. We're going to publish that early in the new year. You'll hear us talk a lot about an Indo-Pacific tilt, and there'll be, I'm sure, no stronger partner as we look to further to the east than India.
Uma?
Hi, I have a question for our Minister. So this is the first foreign minister's visit to India post-COVID. So what is the importance of this visit? And also we hear that the UK Prime Minister is going to be the chief guest during the Republic Day. And also a question for the UK Foreign Secretary. Why have you chosen this time of the year for the visit? What is the significance?
Let me be a little technical about it. It's not the first foreign minister's visit, it's the first foreign minister's bilateral visit, because Secretary Pompeo was here for a 2+2, so don't want to ignore that. Look, I think the Foreign Secretary comes here at a very important time. In a way, I'm answering the question you posed to him. It's an important time because we are looking at a post-COVID world. Even independently of the COVID, India was looking at, I would say, re-engineering many of its important relationships in a more imaginative and productive way. We're also looking at a post-Brexit world from the perspective of the UK. So this is a right time really for us to put our heads together, discuss where are you, where are we, how does the world look, where do our interests sort of converge, what can we do together. Now, from an Indian perspective, look, the UK is an enormously important partner. There are many facets. I think some of you have heard me say this before, that there are many UKs. There is the global UK, there is the City of London UK, there's the diaspora UK, there's the tech innovative UK, and there's the economic UK. So if you look, the relationship that we reviewed today, it is already a very big relationship, but it has a great potential of being scaled up very much more. And we certainly think that the presence of Prime Minister Boris Johnson as the chief guest at Republic Day 2021, and the Foreign Secretary, you just heard him convey the acceptance of the invitation that we had extended, would be, it would be in a way symbolic of a new era, of a new phase of our relationship. It will also really drive us to put in place, I think, a lot of mechanisms and platforms which would realize the kind of expectations that both Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Johnson have of the relationship and which they have discussed with each other. Let me also add that we actually place, and this is from my somewhat narrower perspective as Foreign Minister, that the UK is also a very, very important partner for us, whether it is on global issues, whether it's in multilateral organizations. So quite apart from the bilateral relationship, which we are working very hard to take to a higher level, we certainly expect a much closer working together in international organizations and platforms and on global issues.
I agree with all of what Dr. Jaishankar said. I don't have too much to add. I mean, why now? I think we'd have probably tried to get it in earlier. I would have loved to have come earlier, but COVID has been restricting travel movements, and I guess that's played a part. But beyond that, I think as we are coming to the end of the transition period of the Brexit phase, we are looking out to the world, broadening our horizons, looking east in the way I described. I think you can expect the United Kingdom to be more active and energetic. In particular, we've been talking about this Indo-Pacific tilt. The opportunities for trade and investment here and in the region are very wide, and also the opportunity to be an even stronger force for good in the world. I mean, we've spent a lot of our time today talking about COVID, what can we do? We've obviously got the benefit of scientists and the manufacturing capacity to get a vaccine into our own peoples, but how do we make sure there's an equitable distribution for the rest of the world? That's something dear to my heart, just as it is to Dr. Jaishankar's. Climate change, I think Prime Minister Modi made a series of very important announcements at the weekend at the Climate Ambition Summit that we co-hosted. So in all of these areas, it's not just about the trade and investment, although that's important for both our peoples and our businesses, but also about being an even stronger force for good in the world. And we see a lot of our shared interests and values in common with India.
Thank you. From the UK media, we have questions from Stephanie Findlay of Financial Times and Sanjay Jha from ITV News. Stephanie, would you like to go ahead?
Hi, thank you. This is a question for both. India didn't sign up for the Regional Free Trade Deal, RCEP. What is different about the UK-India relationship that these talks would materialize in a free trade agreement? And what are sticking points under negotiation right now?
Well, I think you're comparing apples and oranges. UK wasn't part of the RCEP. So I'm not sure that our experience and decisions on the RCEP front really sort of carry over to the discussions with the UK. There have been discussions between our trade ministers. Unfortunately, neither of us are trade ministers, so there's a limit to the detail we could share with you even if we wanted to. But there is, I think, a serious intent really to take our trade relationship forward. And probably at this time, it would be best for me to leave it at that.
Yes, I mean, as has just been said, every trade negotiation is different. But I think when we look at the contours of our respective economies, we see the opportunities on both sides, and it will be important. Any trade negotiation, even between close friends, it has to be benefits on both sides. Obviously, our trade teams will engage in the haggle, if I can put it like that. But what I think we recognise is the possibilities for a deeper trading relationship. The contours of our economy, I think, would allow that, and we certainly, as foreign ministers, see a very powerful strategic case. So I think we'll want to nudge our trade negotiators along and see what we can achieve.
I I would just add that I would echo particularly the last bit, which is we see the strategic case and we will be nudging them along.
Sanjay Jha.
Foreign Secretary, one question is about obviously domestic issue and second about your trip to India. Firstly, with many nations locking down for Christmas, is it the right time for UK to lift restrictions? Won't it lead to a third wave? My second question is about your trip to India. How optimistic are you for a trade deal with the European Union? If you don't get a deal, doesn't that weaken your position to make a trade deal in India for which you are primarily here?
So firstly on what we're doing over Christmas, obviously we've gone from the national lockdown into the tiered approach. We have another review point on Wednesday, has already been, I think, foreseen in the media, and we've made it clear. We're going to make sure we've got a very tight grip on the virus going into Christmas, but I do think it's important for people to be able to have, over that 5-day period, the opportunity to spend time with some loved ones, and we built in the slack around Christmas to our wider approach, both in terms of the tiered approach, but also the community testing. So we're bearing down on the virus. We need to see ourselves through to the spring when we hope that we'll have a vaccine in place to change the whole nature in which we address the virus. But I do think it's important for people to be able to spend time with their loved ones over Christmas. On the EU FTA, look, the negotiations are ongoing. We'll, as the Prime Minister said, leave no stone unturned. But equally, there's going to be a change at the end of January. And I think sometimes we've been too myopically focused just on Europe, whereas actually one of the advantages of leaving the transition period is we'll regain control over our ability to strike free trade deals with the rest of the world. And certainly if you look at India and the Indo-Pacific region and take a long-term view, that's where the growth opportunities of the future will be.
Thank you. This concludes the media event. I thank you all for joining.